We're going to get started with our luncheon speakers, and we're really, really pleased to have all of you here again, as I said earlier. With that, I again am so thankful to our sponsors and our presenters. They are really wonderful people that have come in and participated with us today from really all over the country and here locally. And I'd like to introduce to you our speakers for this afternoon, Rod Watson and Mr. Don Esmond.
You don't feel that same tension that you feel when you have young black males, particularly young black males around. And that the tension sort of permeates everything in Buffalo. And I think, but even more than that, I try to focus more on the institutional level because, I mean, you know, Rodney King said, why can't we all get along? But I think the larger question is, why can't we all get a seat at the table? And that's really what I try to focus on in my columns. That's what I think the real solution is. I mean, I've been in Buffalo since 1983, and when I first came here, one of the issues at that time was, you know, why can't black business people get loans, or why can't black contractors get bonding to work on big projects? And here we are with, like, 22 years later, 23 years later, got a $1 billion project on the table, and that issue is still out there, still the same. Nothing's changed in over 2 decades. And I think one of the issues in this community is the lack of a focus on those types of issues among the people that we deem, or the Buffalo News deems, our leaders.
And I think as a newspaper, we've done a better job in, you know, essentially putting, you know, a context on the crime stories, not splashing stuff on the front page of the paper and frightening the hell out of everybody, so to the point where they're not afraid to come into the city of Buffalo. And I think that's where we distinguish ourselves from the TV news, because they're all about visuals. And how many times have you turned on the 11 o'clock news and the lead story, you know, the flashing police lights? They're all about the visuals. Flashing police lights, the yellow tape, blood on the sidewalk. Oh, you know, this guy shot this guy, and everybody's, you know, and they're sitting in their home, living room in Clarence or West Seneca, and going, oh God, I'm never going into the city of Buffalo again. And it's just so disproportionate, and it's so out of context.
Civil Rights Act to help America transition from separate and unequal to a desegregated nation. After 39 years of business, we are just as committed to the mandate now as we were then. Today, CRS helps diverse groups who disagree begin the process of talking to one another to arrive at a common ground and ultimately lay a foundation of trust that can be built on for years to come. CRS is dedicated to preventing racial and ethnic conflict. Established as an independent component office of the Department of Justice, CRS is charged with a legislative mandate to address racial strife related to race, color, and national origin through mediation, through memorandums of agreement, through working with university and school presidents and interventions in those schools and universities, working with community and law enforcement folks, providing training. CRS has 10 regional offices and 4 field offices in every major metropolitan city in the country.
We have the approaches to life or worldviews. And so I just want to throw out a couple of those, because as we pursue a common vision for a better community, be it a local or extended or city or regional, we have to understand that we all bring worldview values to the table. And it's not an either-or dynamic. It has been, but I don't think the future will allow us to maintain that kind of approach. It has to become a both and. And for example, when the sun sets in the west, people brush their teeth and they go to bed because it's getting dark. Sun rises in the east, they brush their teeth, and they get ready to go to work. Now, are they watching 2 different things do 2 different events? No. They're watching the same sun do the same thing. But why does it impact them in opposite ways? It has to do with the angle from which they're viewing the event. So from the east is getting daylight, from the West is going down, but they're watching the same event. And as people, we have these kinds of angles or perspectives that we look at economics through. We look at spirituality through. We look at equality through. We have gender differences. We have urban. We have rural. We have East Coast, West Coast. We have religious differences, ethnic. We have all kinds of angles that we view life through, and yet we all live in the same hood, except the ones that are engaged in hood flight, wherever that might be. And even the trends are changing now. Some are coming back, some are leaving. But we're living in a time of huge, massive demographic transition in America. And so some of our angles, our worldview values, they're becoming rounded a bit. But that's not to say that we should lose touch with who we are, who the Creator made us to be. As a Lakota man, I never want to become an Englishman or a Frenchman or anyone else. I want to remain true to who God made me to be. But at the same time, I recognize that I live in a bigger world. And so the reality is, what do I see in those who are different from me that I can learn from, that will help me, benefit me, that will make me a better human being, will make me a better two-legged? And what is there in native culture, values, worldview that will make you a better individual, and collectively that we become a better community?
This layout was done by a student in Kenmore East, and it depicts the whole idea of the conference and where are we now. Since Brown v. Board of Education 50 years ago, what are we doing about civil rights and about the race and reconciliation issue in our city?
What are the benefits of being white?
I don't know.
So there's no benefits to being white?
In a way, white people are trusted a little bit more.
We're more respected. I'm sorry, but is that racist?
Not being a rich white person or a poor black person, we're kind of just like stuck in the middle of, well, that's not fair that a black person is getting an advantage on us when we really don't have an advantage ourselves.
Well, I don't understand how you're supposed to think of a benefit of being white if you've never experienced anything else.
I heard the other day in Houston, Texas, for every 100 new voters, only 7 are Caucasian. Now, that's the trend all across the country. There are now today more Hispanic babies born in California than there are Anglo babies. And so they say by the year 2030 or so, the American population will be half brown, combination of Asian, Latino, African, Native, Hispanic, etc., Americans, and Caucasian. Now, I have to be, probably ask forgiveness now, because I'm not sure if it's okay to call white people white people. Is that like politically correct? I know if you ask me, I'll say, well, I like First Nations better than American Indian or Native American, or I like that better than Wagon Burner, or maybe some other kind of names, But it's like white people is it like white people or Anglo people or Euro-American people or Caucasian people or honkies or howlies or crackers or Q-tips or pale faces or because the problem is, once you learn the latest politically correct term, it'll change again in 3 more months, and then as a brown person, I'll have to learn the latest politically correct term for white people. So it's this whole time of transition that we're in, and it's okay. To be politically correct is okay, but it is not the final answer. It is not the solution to bring unity in the midst of diversity. It's an okay thing. But we're all awkward. We don't know how to do it. What's the latest politically? Did I offend you? We got gender issues. We got urban Indian. We got all these issues. And you know what? It is not getting less diverse. It's what? It's getting radically more diverse.
What does it mean to be black?
The stereotypical version of it is that you have baggy jeans, braids, a do-rag, and that you speak Ebonics.
You look at me, you don't think I take an AP course. You wouldn't think that. You think, okay, he's just a regular N-word, He on block, probably smoking weed, doing it, But some people think like that, though.
I hate the fact that the example for acting black is everything
We're
negative.
talking about integrating a lunch and going over simple things to get all the races together, basically, because we've had quite a few issues, and I was involved in some of them. black kid hit my sister. It was just a big, scuffle in the lunchroom, and there was some name exchanging and race words used. We did use the word nigger, you know what I mean? And one thing that I did learn is that that word can offend my friends. I considered that an ignorant word, not something related back to slavery. But that's what they took it as, so I apologize for offending them.
What are the root causes? Well, I think when you get right down to it, the poor state of our race relations is right up there near the top of the list. Racism is an infection in our community, and each day it takes its toll. Millions of dollars of lost property values in the city, often fueled by our refusal to live side by side in peace on the same street, in the same neighborhoods, have put the city in bankruptcy. Our economy is stagnant, too many are out of work, our schools do not perform, our children are losing hope. We all know the problems, but what we haven't recognized, I think, is that the old way of talking about the problem hasn't done much to solve it. We're plagued by a scarcity mentality here. We're all looking at an economic pie that gets smaller by the day, and we're all trying to grab our piece before it's gone. And when we try to grab our piece, our actions are often dictated by race. We want our piece because we're entitled to it, or because those people are different. Racism, coupled with a scarcity mentality, is a recipe for disaster. So let today be the day when we commit ourselves to a new, more honest, and more open dialogue about race relations in our community. Let today be the day when we say no more to the old discussion, to the old way of looking at things, to the scarcity mentality. Let today be the day when we begin to rebuild our community from the inside out by changing our perceptions, our language, our attitudes, and our actions. And let today be the day when we pledge together to increase the economic pie and provide equal opportunity for all in our community.
If in fact this is our report card, if this is our report card, we know we have work to do. And like any other report card, whether it's our own when we were in school or whether it's the report cards of our children, we know that when these are the results, something has to change. We have to bring about change. And all of our speakers today and all the things we talked about in the workshops, we all talked about change. And change becomes really the instrument for all of us to exercise our discipline and our creativity to bring about a better community.
I don't want everything that I do to be because I'm black. Like, people giving me things like scholarships is one thing. I'm not even gonna lie, because it's hard to get to college, and I want to be a lawyer.
You always hear about minority scholarships for this and that. I mean, I've never actually heard of once for just, white scholarship, Caucasian scholarship, or whatever.
They think that because they're white, they get punished, but that's not it. It's because we're black, we get an advantage.
Regardless if it's scholarship or if it's Black History Month, whenever you separate races, it's not going to help any situation.
I don't know if you guys noticed, but our lunchroom automatically segregates itself. Black people sit on one side, white people sit on the other.
When you're trying to figure out who you are, you look for people that look like you.
If you sit with people who you're not comfortable with, how long is the conversation actually going to go on? Are you just going to sit there for 28 minutes on lunch and just eat your lunch and be quiet, which you never do with the people who you're comfortable with? So I agree with this project.
How it really makes sense when you have a community, city rather, that has a community of probably upwards in about 50% of its population who are people of color and minorities from other countries who make their homes here, how we have to have a plan for economic growth and social equity, and the whole idea of having a city where there's an authentic culture of good neighbors, I think is an important aspect of that. So we're so pleased that LP Simonelli saw fit to be a sponsor this year again.
Our school's a great place. I love my school. I would never went to any other high school. It's one of the best, diverse, and the reason our school was founded was in the 70s for integration.
I do find that it's separated, and this year I've noticed that there's a lot of bias, and things that I'm starting to notice myself that I never noticed before. Like, for instance, my homeroom, there's like maybe 5 black kids and then the rest is white, and we sit on opposite sides.
We do sit at different tables and lunch, and they definitely talk about us, we talk about them. It's back and forth, you know, but it's segregated, but it's not by, it's just by instinct. I don't know, we just do it.
When you live in a community such as Buffalo, where we see disparity just about in every aspect of our community, it makes sense to come together and start to build the vision for those communities to foster and develop. And what better way than through our projects, our programs, our construction industry, you know, enlighten and educate individuals on how to obtain those opportunities and to grow those fields.
Buffalo is the second most segregated city in the nation. The intent was that the schools would be the seed ground for integration to happen for the entire community.
We are the school that mirrors the population of Buffalo the best.
I think the public schools perhaps are the last frontier, the last venue for us to actually address actively the idea of integration.
anh em quạt thòn đấy, ni cả mình nữ tên họ có trẻ ta qua, cả đôi gan đi xong qua giọt đôi tên sẽ hơi trẻ được ta hết cho hết. I'd like to share with you briefly, in our way of life, for whatever purpose that we come together, we include all our relations. And our relations is all our natural surroundings.
We have the city working with us. We have the state, and the county, and the business group all working with us. So all of the stakeholders are together. It's not just the NFTA doing this out on an island by themselves. Everyone is together. Everyone has been a part of the process, the review process, and the ranking process going forward. Subsequent to, hopefully, the redevelopment agreement being made, we will convene a community advisory committee. Again, we want this process to be as transparent and as inclusive as possible so that people should feel free, and we want them to give their comments, to give their suggestions as we move along and as this process evolves so that we can sit down and get to the important work of developing our waterfront to give it a reincarnation, a phoenix, if you will, so that it can rise from the ashes and make it something that we all can enjoy, live, work, and play down in that waterfront.
You guys see how the lunchroom is divided.
All the black people sit together and all the white people sit together. Do you think you sit together just because you're friends or it's because everybody's black?
I don't know.
I really don't care. White people have one idea or one perspective of an idea or whatever, and black people have another.
Basically, people just sit where they're more comfortable with.
Tomorrow, I think we're going to try to start something.
Would you be like interested in meeting other people?
As long as you can hold a conversation, it's okay.
Over here. I bet it can.
I'm willing to meet other people at any given time, especially females.
I would only sit with my friends.
You can't sit me with a Catholic person and I'm expect us. We got two different types of views on life.
The way it's separated right now, you have like white kids sitting together and black kids sitting together. That doesn't interest you at all?
I'm sitting with a bunch
because I gotta ask you, you're white and you're sitting with a bunch of black kids.
You should just leave it like it is and let people sit with who they want to sit with.
So it doesn't interest you at all. You just think it's just gonna be like that and that's fine.
And executing this conference has been amazing. It's been a 24-hour, 7 job for a long time, but particularly the last couple of weeks. And that's my job today, to thank the people who really have put so much in to the belief in the whole concept that the human relations organizations and partners and supporters and our missions can come together in one room and be in this building at Canisius, this beautiful, beautiful college in the middle of Buffalo, to go forward with ideas and advocacy after breaking bread together and spending time in thoughtful, serious discussion with wonderful presentations, which I sat in on some this morning, and they have been
On
amazing.
behalf of the Commission on Citizens' Rights and Community Relations, we want to thank you all for coming, because if you were not here, we would not be successful. I also want to take a particular interest in our young people and to really thank them and their instructors and their teachers for bringing them out, because they're our future.
The Universal School Breakfast Program is an important, desired, energizing, and effective element throughout the educational day. There have been positive responses from your teachers, parents, principals, and nurses who participated in this pilot program. Numerous studies in Minnesota, Maryland, and New York have shown that students who eat breakfast have better academic results, better attendance, and better behavior, and the overall health also improves. Breakfast in the cafeteria is also not as organized as breakfast in the classrooms, and the cafeteria has a lot of people who are harder to control as a group compared to the small number that a classroom has.
My name is Lynn Otwell. I am the cafeteria manager at Performing Arts. We pack 13 classrooms, and in their bins they get a cereal, a juice, a milk, and a pastry. It is delivered each morning before the children arrive and picked up after homeroom. The participation is tremendous. Most days we do more breakfast than we do lunch. Everyone in the classroom usually eats. It's more of a social thing for the kids to sit together and have breakfast. In order to have breakfast work in all classrooms in all buildings, you need support throughout your building. You need help from the custodial staff, you need help from the administration, and you need help from your homeroom teachers.
Kevin Kazmierzak, Principal of Buffalo Academy for Visual and Performing Arts. I'm very much in favor of breakfast being served in the classroom for grades 5 through 8. The advantages outweigh the little bit of extra work that it takes. The problem that we had was that we had 5th graders in the cafeteria at the same time as 12th graders in the morning. So there's a possibility of up to 850, 860 students all trying to get breakfast at once. We didn't always see our upperclassmen, high school students, modeling the best behavior for our 5th through 8th graders. And so it was kind of a tumultuous start to the day for them. So that was the reason behind it. And since then, the feedback from our grade 5 through 8 teachers is very favorable, and the day has begun much more calmly and in a much more organized fashion. There are no complaints, as far as I know, from the cafeteria help nor from the custodial help. It is extra work for them, but they're taken care of in there. The breakfasts are delivered to the classroom, and they stay there until maybe 20 minutes into first period. That's when they're collected from the various cafeteria workers. And so in actuality, it's easier and better for those who arrive late than it is to have it in the cafeteria, because the cafeteria has to be shut down, as you know, at a certain point in order to be ready whatever we're going to do in the cafeteria first period.
On the field, London Fletcher makes big plays for the Buffalo Bills. Off the field, he eats and drinks nutritiously. Yes, and here we have London Fletcher at the Herman Video School handing out breakfast to students in classrooms. The Buffalo Bills International Breakfast Society team up every year to do such a thing as this to show how successful breakfast in classrooms can be compared to breakfast in the cafeteria.
regards to the breakfast in the classroom, I'm actually kind of for having the breakfast in the classroom because it does kind of help out with at least monitoring the students as they're coming into the school. They can kind of get through breakfast with being supported of trying to complete it as quickly as possible to then kind of get into their work. It really kind of helps with behaviors with the students. It also it enables us to kind of check to see the students are getting what they're supposed to for breakfast in the morning. And I think it just kind of helps with the overall environment of the school. They can kind of get through breakfast with being supported of trying to complete it as quickly as possible to then kind of get into their work. It really kind of helps with behaviors with the students. It also it enables us to kind of check to see the students are getting what they're supposed to for breakfast in the morning. And I think it just kind of helps with the overall environment of the school.
Bills. Off the field, he eats and drinks nutritiously. Yes, and here we have London Fletcher at the Herman Badillo School handing out breakfast to students in classrooms. The Buffalo Bills International Breakfast Society team up every year to do such a thing as this to show how successful breakfast in classrooms can be compared to breakfast in the cafeteria.
Well, in regards to the breakfast in the classroom, I'm actually kind of for having the breakfast in the classroom because it does kind of help out with at least monitoring the students as they're coming into the school. They can kind of get through breakfast with being supported of trying to complete it as quickly as possible to then kind of get into their work. It really kind of helps with behaviors with the students. It also it enables us to kind of check to see the students are getting what they're supposed to for breakfast in the morning. And I think it just kind of helps with the overall environment of the school.